Synergetic Century, April 29th, 2017. Omniscient Universe Church, 7. Geodesic Spherical Programming. Imagine, for each of us, every individual on planet Earth is an ever newly adjusted viewpoint within the spherical environment omnisurrounding the physical existence experience of the observed articulations. The articulations are the events that pass by, and the events that come toward or move away from the individual observations. The observations are identifiable by angle and frequency. But awareness of this capability is not automatic, as a reflexive reaction at all levels of the interpretive mind's metaphysical and physical survival evolution. This is so even after being informed that there are only two possible covariables that are operatives in all design in universe. The covariables are modification of angle and frequency. Humans do not consciously modify angles and frequencies correlatively to every observation and articulation. Yet consciousness evolution includes a propensity that far exceeds all that by conscious adaptation to the manifest form is holding us back. Also, imaginably stalls the evolution process. Synergetics 1001.10 through 0.12. For the most part, the idea of observation as such, consciously designing every conceivable otherness, event, entity, experience, is utterly too strange. Unapparently, everything is angle and frequency related in the omnidirectional universe within which everything in motion is interacting and transforming. Systems alter other systems by eventually discernible degree. It must be an angular degree involving the 6 degrees of freedom and the 6 motion freedoms: axial rotation, orbital rotation, inside-outsiding, torque, expansion, contraction, precession. Yet the generalized fields are least familiar, while the least economic way of behaving during adaptation and conforming to the manifest form is most familiar, albeit not wholly, WHOLLY, consciously. Such conformity results from the subconsciously observed PRJMBSC, which primarily is what everyone on Earth has been and continues to be subjected. It is always a subjective to objective experience. We must go through the subjective to reach the objective. The PRJMBSC, its politics, religion, justice, military belief system complex, is a hugely gross misapprehension compared to Synergetics' centuries most economic way of behaving relative to unity and self in universe. Consequently, reasonable comprehension can be as far from any realization as is any great distance, locally or in light years. By generalizing the concept in a mindfulness of the physical evolution self-retransformings and metaphysical evolution self-remodifying, the lag rates between apprehension and comprehension is also where the 6 degrees of freedom come into the field of potential recognition. This is because intellect's conceptual and reasoning faculty of thought has already accepted its imagination's ability to formulate conceptually, as well as its metaphysical generalized conception field of thought must be activated by one's own intellect as a function of universe with a tetrahedron as the minimum thinkable set and minimum limit case. Even at that, the continuity of conscious life is within fleeting recognition because there is so little rationally conducted information to observe, as the local reenacting articulations take time so to do. Time is imposed on an eternal, timeless universe. So when precisely do a brain's cerebral circuits of the metaphysical interpreter's generalized conceptioning synchronize observation and articulation as a transceiver? Is it as angle and frequency awareness closer relate to transmitted and received messages in generalized principle? If we can decipher the various radio signals, it must be the human brain and mind doing so. Perhaps this is as the eternally referential centrality at cosmic zero is understood to be full-size range accommodating and not dismissed as irrelevant to the thought process while placating the establishment's disinformation authorities, whose survival concern is ever self-serving. Synergetics 443.03. It isn't until intellect purposely concentrates on composing an omnirational thought's spherical reference from which its mind can extrapolate the tetrahedron as an abstract integrity of universe into a synergetics clarifying sense of the omnidirectional, that its individual viewpoint is self-validated without worrisome concerns about the anticipated objections from any predominant factor of the PRJMBSC. Quite then, during the writing process is precisely when intellect realizes from where freedom derives. It is tetrahedrally between all the self and otherness potentially regenerating relationships. Imagine everyone being endowed with a sphere of observation that has been established by the eternal omniscient mind's universe. It is precisely for permitting our individual life's mobile spherical viewpoint to go everywhere with us, everywhere we individually go in an omnidirectional universe. Surely we do not exist to be perpetually dismayed by the political, religion, justice, military belief system complex as interminably designated consumers of the substitute products that supplant our innately endowed experiential function of universe. The complexities of it treat us as subject entities of a linear, predominantly physical, seemingly inescapable concept predicament. As if universe is not omnidirectional, and there is no nuclear group for us to conceptualize as a nuclear observer of its interrelating integrity. As if we cannot conceptualize 12 around 1 spheres, independent of size, where size alone can come to zero, not the conceptuality. But this is not so, since each of us has an imaginative ability to formulate conceptually within a tetrahedral interrelating awareness of nature's coordinate system, which is what synergetics is. Why must anyone forsake this inherent capability to accredit its metaphysical generalized conceptioning referentially to an inherent rationality of omnidirectional spherical dimensions? After all, the spherical dimensions are tangent and angle frequencied intervals, whereas the PRJMBSC educations induce incurious resignation to such degree of insight and outlook. Earth is a spherical planet. It is a 10,000 frequency geodesic sphere. How does an awareness of this information coincide with the continuous tension, which is gravitation, and the compressionally discontinuous, When will our humanity recognize that ecology is tensegrity, the geodesic spherical programming that does not invalidate nature's coordinate system? Why must we perpetuate illogical adaptations to the non-existent, infinite planes and non-existent, fantastic origins that were invented by the earlier people? They truly have no inherent right to impose such make-believe conditions on our otherwise omnidirectionally comprehensible event field analysis by any degree of their overwhelming PRJ and BSC preoccupations. If we do not read and write about omnitopology and the Synergetics century as a viable, omnicomprehensive pursuit of knowledge throughout the universal process, what hope can there possibly be to ever manifest an omniconsiderate, omnirationally conceived, regenerating spherical appreciation for the omnidirectional and omnidimensional universe? Let us not forget that we are at this SJPMCC stage of the Synergetics century. Synergetics, justice, politics, military, conceptual complex. Thank you.